What's up guys, CJ here, and welcome back to another all-new trailer breakdown. Just trailer mania here over the last few months, but exciting nonetheless as we have our very first full-length look at Blade Runner 2049. That's right, another trailer, this time the first full-length one, as the last one was technically just called an announcement trailer, more of a teaser really. This one is our first good, long look at our return to the world of Blade Runner, set 30 years after the events of the first film, and almost 30 years after the release of the original film. And wow, this was a massive trailer. It still doesn't give us too much of the story, but we have a pretty good idea of the plot, and we see a ton of new characters from Dave Bautista, Mackenzie Davis, and a good look at Ana de Armas as Joy, and of course Jared Leto's mysterious, seemingly villainous character. But without further ado, let's dive right in. Our first sequence in the trailer might be my favorite. It's seemingly set at the Tyrell Corporation's massive pyramid-like headquarters. Inside, right off the bat, we see that Ridley Scott, Denis Villeneuve, and Roger Deakins have definitely made keeping the look and feel of the original a priority, as the interior of the pyramid looks almost exactly as it did in the first movie, especially the lighting. As Officer K is led through the bowels of the pyramid, being led past replicants floating in tanks, we finally see Leto's character for the very first time, and yes, it definitely looks like he designs the replicants. He seems like he's wearing a kimono, but the main thing you might notice is it looks like he's blind, which is an interesting character addition, and to amp up the creepy factor, he discusses how every civilization was essentially built by slaves, and that he can only make so many. We see the birth of a replicant, something we never saw in the last film, as they essentially are born from what looks like creepy plastic bag-like wombs, really amping up that disposable comparison Leto made as he welcomes the new replicant, played by Carla Juri, to the world with a super creepy happy birthday. We see Leto again briefly later in the trailer, and his henchwoman played by Sylvia Hoeks, and we don't exactly know what his motives are. Originally I thought he was going to be all about replicant liberation, but he might have even more sinister plans. We'll talk about that though later. Quick side note, one of my favorite shots in the trailer is this massive holographic Atari ad, which seems out of place now. I mean, Atari's not really around anymore, but it definitely wouldn't have at the time of the original Blade Runner, or at least the time the film was made. So props to Ridley Scott and Villeneuve for really staying true to the original feel of the world from the first film and not, I guess, feeling the need to update it. The trailer then shifts to what we saw in the teaser on Friday, as Robin Wright's character, who I presume is an LAPD captain, especially after this trailer, talks about order and the Blade Runner's role in keeping that order, and we can see more clearly that she is definitely talking to Agent K in this scene. But her monologue continues past what we saw in the teaser, and she talks about the existing societal structure of the world, saying, "The world is built on a wall that separates kind. Tell either side there's no wall, you bought a war." And I love this line because there's a meaning there that I think ties in directly with the foundation of what the first Blade Runner was about. If you tell humans that replicants are more present and essentially are humans, they'll try to kill them all. And on the flip side, if you tell replicants that they're essentially humans and are more present, they'll try to replace the humans. It's certainly not necessarily true of all humans or all replicants, but that kind of moral gray space is why people loved the first Blade Runner, and it's great to see more of that already in this sequel. It's hard to exactly place this scene in the plot, as we don't really have any clues yet, but if she's telling this to Officer K, it's possible that he came to her with evidence that maybe replicants aren't as outlawed as they're thought to be, or are more present in society than they should be, which might be Leto's plan, replacing humanity with their next step in evolution, replicants. Robin Wright's monologue, though, is set to the backdrop of Joy and Kay meeting on a rooftop in the rain, which concept art revealed earlier in the day tells us is the roof of Kay's apartment building. The shot is absolutely gorgeous. It's honestly enough for me to want to see the movie in IMAX alone, but beyond that, it shows that Kay has skin in the game, so to speak. He clearly cares for Joy, which might color his decision-making and worldview as a Blade Runner, much like Rachel affected Deckard in the same way. Our next sequence, though, features Kay's journey into what we've assumed is Las Vegas, a city swallowed by sand where Deckard is hiding out. I never noticed it before. It's a similar shot from that announcement trailer, but as Kay walks into the building, the rug in front of the door says Vintage Casino, which lends some credence to the It's Vegas theory. This time, Deckard has a monologue over the scene as he tells Kay he had his job once and was good at it. Asking Kay what he wants, the new Blade Runner says, "To ask you some questions." Pretty simple cop line, but watching the trailer, that made me absolutely shriek, as it could have some massive meaning in the context of a few Ridley Scott confirmed theories. Of course, like I said, it could be just your normal investigation questions, but I have another little theory in mind. If what Kay is referring to is the Voight-Kampff test, as Deckard's surprised look might indicate, then Kay clearly suspects Deckard is a replicant. But what if Deckard was not only a replicant, but the first, or at least one of the first attempts by Leto and his shadowy cabal to place replicants in the ranks of the Blade Blade Runners and other key organizations. I have a gut feeling that this might end up being the central mystery of the movie, that Leto's character has secretly been seeding the LAPD, the Blade Runners, and other high-level political and social arenas with the androids for them to eventually take over. The trailer kind of hints in that direction, but as a whole, it poses a major question. Are replicants still outlawed on Earth like they were in the first movie? If they are, then Leto planning a surprise rebellion might be more clear from this footage, as he's obviously still making replicants, but if they're not still banned, it could still just be part of their plan, or maybe part of Tyrell's larger plan, with Step 1 just lobbying to legalize them again. We get our first shot of Mackenzie Davis' mystery character next, and as far as dress goes, I really can't tell if she's a replicant or not. She kind of reminds me of Pris Stratton in a weird way, kind of a combo of Pris and Jorah, but so far we have no character details about her. We also get a brief look at Dave Bautista's mystery character, who we also have no information about beyond what we see in this trailer, in literally 2 shots in which he throws Kay through a wall. Honestly, I might be wrong, but it seems like he might be this movie's stand-in for Leon Kowalski from the first one. But maybe the character done the most justice by this trailer is Ana de Armas' replicant, Joy. She appears multiple times throughout, kissing Kay in the rain in that earlier scene, telling him she always told him he was special, and at the very end of the trailer telling him there's 1 page left in his story, but more on that in a little bit. If she is a replicant, which has been confirmed, then this might mean that she's either been planted by someone or the replicants are once again legal on Earth, as she shows up in various holographic ads throughout the trailer. First here as Kay is driving, later here interacting with Kay, and then again here in the most obvious one of all. And this leaves us with the biggest character of all, Officer K. What's his deal? Well, I've got a theory. From this trailer, I think the movie will see Kay following in Deckard's footsteps from the first film, literally in the search for the legendary Blade Runner and in terms of his mission. We see Kay interacting with Mackenzie Davis' character, who may or may not be a replicant, and fighting Dave Bautista's character, who it seems like is a replicant as he throws Kay through a wall pretty easily, which in our world is pretty easy for Dave Bautista to do, but in that world is a pretty good sign that somebody is a replicant before Kay leaves the area with the building it looks like they fought in on fire. This to me smacks of Deckard's job from the first movie, tracking down replicants illegally hiding out on Earth. Even going to Tyrell to meet with Leto's character kind of harkens back to the scenes in which Deckard began his own investigation at Tyrell, but something tells me that this time there's another name on Kay's list of targets. Rick Deckard himself. That's why he wants to ask Rick some questions. He is, in fact, administering the Voight-Kampff test to him, which Rick either fails or knows he'll fail, as we actually see the two fighting in the trailer. Don't believe me? There are 2 scenes which say otherwise. First, this shot of Ford running as someone breaks through the wall. It looks like replicants are after him, once again, who easily breaks through a wall, but if you look closely, that's Agent K, who then catches him seconds later as Deckard makes a run for his car, which then explodes, throwing them both back. We also later see a shot of Kay hunting someone through a casino, like we saw in the teaser, as a holographic Elvis is on stage, before later seeing presumably holographic dancers lighting up the room while Deckard dukes it out with someone who could only be Kay from a previous shot. We also see Kay shooting at and fighting off other people, so it's possible that this is a case that 2 parties are after Deckard for completely different reasons. Kay because Deckard is a replicant, and Leto's group for an unknown reason, potentially evidence of his conspiracy that only Deckard would have as a previously early on planted Blade Runner who escaped. More evidence that Leto and potentially Tyrell as a whole are trying to catch Deckard as he tells his hench lady, "Bring it to me," and we later see her in a gun battle with Agent K, and then even later, she's got Deckard in her custody in a car. There's more evidence of this mystery as Kay uncovers a piece of wood with the inscription 6/10/21, presumably June 10th, 2021, a date that'll probably hold some importance in the movie, but we have 0 leads on that right now. And then in the last shot, a battered, visibly distressed and shaking Officer K looking down at a book. That's gonna do it for this breakdown. I promise I went super in-depth with this one, but I've been excited for this movie since it was announced. But man, still way more questions than answers, right? I mean, I have 0 idea what's going on. I think I've actually got a pretty good theory, a pretty good lead. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of the trailer, if you're more excited or less excited. Do you buy into my theory about the plot and what your favorite moment from the trailer was? But that's going to do it for me here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like if you like what you saw, subscribe for more great content every single day, and consider turning on your notifications to be alerted every time we upload a new video. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you next time.